Company really Showpad is the current focus, spun out of kind of an agency idea earlier on, but focused on making it easier for marketing and sales teams to talk to each other. They're doing incredibly well. So launched back in 2012, their team is now 220 people. They've raised $61 million, did about 16 million last year, aiming for 22 million this year total, but they're aiming for a run rate of maybe 28, 30 million by the end of the year. They're helping over 1,000 enterprise customers. Again, and their marketing and sales teams talk to each other. Currently doing about 1.6 million in MRR. Gross churn 6%, but they are at net negative revenue churn, about negative 30%. Payback period is about 11 months. LTV in terms of dollars, somewhere around 250 grand. Again, really sitting on a rocket.
This is The Top, where I interview entrepreneurs who are number one or number two in their industry in terms of revenue or customer base. You'll learn how much revenue they're making, what their marketing funnel looks like, and how many customers they have.
I'm now at $20,000 per talk.
5 and 6 million. He is hell-bent on global domination. We just broke our 100,000 units sold mark.
And I'm your host, Nathan Latka.
This is episode 754, and coming up tomorrow morning, you're going to learn from Tom Kinoshenko, and it's the world of crypto. If you want to invest in Bitcoin but don't understand it, you want to make sure you tune in tomorrow morning to learn. Hello, everybody. My guest today is Louis Yonk here. He is one of the co-founders of Showpad. It's the second company that he's founded. Now, he and his co-founders founded the mobile development agency In the Pocket in 2010, where again, Louis still serves as on the board. Prior to In the Pocket, he was a strategic partnership manager at Netlog, where he first met one of his co-founders. He also holds a master's degree in both law and business, and is currently the chief product officer at Showpad. Louis, are you ready to take us to the top?
Absolutely. Very excited to be here.
Good. So just to be clear, you are one of the co-founders, but your current role is you're leading product.
Yes, exactly. So
Okay.
I'm currently responsible for the product design, engineering, and product marketing teams.
So your wall looks like, for those of you watching on YouTube, Louis, your wall looks like mine right here. You have all your mock-ups up on the wall.
Exactly. Yeah, no. But I'm currently in a meeting room, and we just had a session on sales forecasting with the team. So even though I run product, I'm involved in pretty much everything.
What is that meeting like? What's a product guy thinking about at a sales meeting?
I mean, I think it depends on the conversation. But I would say my collaboration with sales is twofold. I think first of all, I mean, they're the warriors, right? They're the people in front of customers. They speak with them every single day. And I mean, they're one of our greatest resources to figure out what's living, what do we need in our product? What can we improve? So that's one thing. And then secondly, it's of course collaborating with them to win business. Because if you sell to big enterprises, which we do, then I mean they don't only buy a current product or a current solutions of a current vendor. They want to work with somebody who understands how the future will look like. And,
what does Showpad do for those that aren't familiar?
So we're a sales enablement platform, and we basically do three things for our customers. The first thing is we've created a content management system that is the best possible way for marketers to deliver content to salespeople. Salespeople notoriously spend too much time on creating content and searching it, and we solve that. And we make it easy to find, easy to create. So that's the first thing.
Wait, I don't understand that, Louis. I don't understand that. So the salesperson is creating content to give to marketing, or the marketing people use you to reach salespeople?
So the marketing uses to reach salespeople. So very typically, if you speak with, for example, customers in technology, manufacturing, you will have a marketing department that spends millions of dollars creating content, presentations, videos, data sheets, etc. Now, what they do with that information today, they just throw it to salespeople. They put it on a shared folder, they put it on SharePoint, they put it on Dropbox.
The salespeople in their same company, right?
Yeah, in the same company. Yep. And then they assume that salespeople just find the information and use it. But the reality is that salespeople don't find it. They don't use it. And actually 90% of what marketing creates never gets used. Because the interface that salespeople currently have to find information is not really built for a sales situation. It's hard to find, for example, the right case study in a folder that has 500 case studies.
Yeah, I totally understand. This is a tool. It's not business to consumer. A business will use this internally to make it more efficient between their sales and marketing team.
Yes. Yeah, and exactly. And if you think about it, like, look, marketers today spend so much time and money in making sure that they can deliver a great message to the consumers, to the buyers, right?
Yep.
They invest in websites, in marketing automation, in email, and they're doing a great job there. But if you speak with companies where a huge part of their go-to-market, let's say, for example, a medical device company, if you start to speak with those companies, then it's shocking to me that they don't treat their salespeople as their customers, because like their salespeople, like they communicate the message, like they deliver the value proposition. So like we help marketers think differently about how they work together with sales, how they create content, and how they should deliver it. So
and is the business model just SaaS?
It's SaaS. Like it's our business is recurring yearly licenses. It's a per seat model, and depending on the functionality you want, you can go from package 1 to package 3, etc.
You mentioned you're selling a lot to enterprises. So like, what's the average? What's your average contract value?
Yeah, it depends. If you look at enterprise, then currently the average land deals are around like 50-60K.
Okay.
And I'm deliberately saying land deals because
wait, what are you saying? You're saying land deals?
Land deals, yeah.
What does that mean?
So that means that this is the first deal you sell to that customer, and then the deal grows pretty quickly afterwards.
Got it.
Because how it typically works, like suppose you have a sales force of 10,000 people. Then very typically, if you come in, we will sell to one division in one country, like delivering Showpad to 150 reps. If that pilot goes well, we grow the account, more countries, more divisions, until we ultimately get to a global rollout.
Annually speaking, right now, it sounds like this is a key part of your model. What does your revenue expansion look like? So if someone pays you 50 grand the first year, what is your sales force increasing that to year over year?
Yep. So that's actually one of our best metrics. So if we sign a customer within the first 12 months, that customer grows on average with about 140%.
Got it. So they're the first year they're paying 50 grand. When they re-sign on the annual renewal, they're going to pay like closer to 75 or 80 grand.
Even a bit more. And
Got
I think
it.
like the upsell like happens gradually. It's not that they do that upsell after the renewal, but like 3 months in the contract, they will say like, it works great, we want to have another division.
How do you manage that from a billing perspective? That seems like that would be a nightmare because you have different upgrades happening on different cohorts at different times. There's not one bill.
Exactly. I mean, you have to be pretty organized when it comes to your CRM and billing system. So we're pretty, I would say, focused around automating that system. Like we work really well there with Salesforce, with NetSuite. We have a whole tech stack behind us that supports us in maintaining that.
Got it. That's interesting. Name some tools you use. Like, are you on Stripe?
So we use Stripe for credit card payments, but like very typically, I mean, given the size of our deals, like it's just an invoice we send to the customer and then they pay either through check or wire transfer. But I would say our stack is really Salesforce. It's NetSuite, it's DocuSign, HubSpot. So like those are the main tools we use. Obviously, Showpad is used a lot to find content and to sell.
And what are you at today in terms of customers you're serving?
So we have 1,000 customers today.
1,000. Nice round number.
1,000. Yeah, it's like 997, almost 1,000, but we say 1,000, of course.
Yeah, and so I mean, if I take 1,000 multiplied times $50,000 ACV, I mean, is that math accurate for me to get like a general ARR number?
No, so we're now a bit over 20 million in ARR,
Okay.
And that's because we have a pretty big group of smaller SMB customers who pay us much less. But that's actually a model we don't focus that much on anymore. But historically, like we started out selling Showpad to a lot of smaller companies. So that's why there are a few hundred customers in there with very low deal sizes, 2, 3, 4K that are still in there.
Got it. So if you said 20 million ARR, what's that, like 1.6 million in monthly recurring revenue, something like that?
Something like that, but we don't really think in a monthly recurring revenue because like we only sell yearly contracts. Like we don't sell any monthly contracts. So for us, it's always been about ARR. But
what's your goal? What's your goal to hit in terms of December 2017? Your ARR run rate. You're at 20 million now.
So we want to be somewhere between, let's say, like 25 and 28.
And why 25 and 28? How do you get that number?
I mean, there's obviously a best case you have. It's you build a plan to reach 28, but then of course, if you think about your targets, about your goals, like there's a conservative scenario, like do all my salespeople ramp as I expect them to ramp? Do we meet our hiring targets? And if everything goes well, like you will get to the bigger number. But the reality is in a business that you need to have multiple scenarios.
Yep.
So
what's your team size today?
So the total team size is 220.
Okay.
We have a sales team of about 30 sales reps.
Wow. And what year did the company launch in?
But the company was launched 5 years and a half ago.
Okay, so we'll call that, what, 2012, something like that?
Yeah, exactly.
And what is the, I mean, imagine because of your size, I mean, have you decided to bootstrap this or have you raised capital?
So we've bootstrapped the company, I'd say, the first 2 years of the business.
Louis, come on. You were just teasing me. I was about to give you like congratulations for bootstrapping the whole way. And then you said for the first 2 years.
But that we did it without raising any money. And of course, you always need to have a bootstrapping mentality. But at a certain point in time, like a bootstrapping mentality doesn't get you to scale.
Yeah.
Because you need to start spending money on sales and marketing and on growing your footprint in the market.
What'd you spend last month just on paid stuff?
I don't know that by heart.
Like a range.
Like paid stuff, probably like 60, 70K, something like that.
Got it. And do you know what that's typically across? Is it like Google AdWords and Facebook ads, or doing anything creative?
It's a lot of Google AdWords, a lot of LinkedIn is in there, like some Facebook, but it's...
You mean LinkedIn advertising?
Yeah, LinkedIn advertising.
Oh, fascinating.
Facebook, not that much. I mean, I know Facebook is coming up with some new tools and some more technologies to deliver more targeted messages, especially in B2B. But I would say Google and LinkedIn. But the majority, obviously, Google.
And what have, going back to the first question, so how much total have you raised now?
61
million. So do you ever, like, obviously I imagine there's a liquidation preference on the last round, which what was it, like probably a Series B or something, Series C?
That was a Series C.
Series C. Yeah. Wait, yeah. Series Seed, SEED, or Series C, the letter?
C, the letter.
The letter, yeah. Do you, I imagine there was like a liquidation preference there and all that. I mean, it sounds like you and you have two co-founders, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So you three together, I imagine, still kind of have majority equity, and then you have investors. You know, a $100 million exit would still probably be really nice for you guys, but because you've raised that much money, you could never sell for that price. How do you kind of balance? Like, does that mess with your brain at all?
No, I mean, totally not. It's I would say, like, so far we've been very lucky with the investors, the Series A investors, Series B and Series C. We always had very founder-friendly terms, negotiated really well. And I mean, like, look, like, indeed, at some point in time, like, your valuation will increase, and you, for example, cannot sell anymore below a specific number. Yeah. But that's fine. I mean, like we've started this company to build something really big, and we also would be disappointed if we at someday would have to have a lower valuation than we expect.
Yeah. Have you had, like, I like to get into the mindset of entrepreneurs. Have you already had in your life kind of a major financial win, you know, above a couple $1 million where you sold a company or real estate or anything else? Or is this really, like, if this goes really well, this will be your first really big financial win?
Yeah. I mean, if this goes really well, this will be our first huge financial win. I mean,
that's great.
Yeah, exactly.
So the first company, that mobile development company you guys did, that wasn't like a big cash thing. That was like an agency.
Well, I mean, it's an agency. It's a very profitable agency, so it's definitely delivering good results for us. But I mean, unlike a product business, like the valuations, if you sell it, are less attractive.
They're like 1 to 1.5x EBITDA.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky. What do you guys take? What do you guys take into the bottom line in that business? 20%, 30%?
More around 30%.
That's pretty good.
I mean, it's a good business.
Yeah. What about some of the other stuff? You guys are in a rare position where you've raised enough capital where you've definitely done cohort analysis, and you will look at things like payback period, churn, you know, LTV. I mean, what's churn look like in this business? Let's start with gross monthly churn, because we know your net negative churn is negative. Negative.
So we don't look at it from a monthly perspective,
or annual.
From a yearly perspective. Yeah. So I would say gross churn last year was around a bit over 6%.
That's really good. So you're retaining 94% of your logos annually.
Yeah. And then, of course, as you mature more, like, that churn will go up. So this year it should be more around 8, for example, between 6 and 8, depending.
Wait, say that again. Why? What was the reasoning for it going up?
So I mean, as you mature as a platform, like, you have a lot of customers who are a longer time on your platform, right? Like customers who are with you for 4, 5, 6 years.
Yep.
And as they stay longer on your platform, the risk of churn, like, increases. Like, it's a given. Customers don't stay forever with the platform. So it's something you calculate and you take into your models. But churn has been very healthy. I would say gross churn, like last year, 6%. net churn, I think negative churn of about like 30-35%, which is pretty good.
And is that revenue or logo?
That's revenue. That's revenue. If you look at our logos, I would say, I mean, if you exclude the SMB customers where we don't put a strategic focus on anymore, like we rarely lose customers. And I think we've only lost like 2 or 3 customers that are more than 25,000 ARR. So like on the bigger side, it's really good.
The SMB stuff is almost like lead gen for you. I mean, customers still come in. We still sell to some SMB customers, but in terms of like lifetime value, average deal sizes, the return on investment, like it's more interesting for us to sell to more mid-market companies, enterprise customers. Yep. What are you spending to acquire a customer? And let's talk about your key cohort, not the SMB people.
Yeah, it depends. Like it's very tough to give you an exact cost per lead, but I would say like the golden rule in SaaS always should be is that for every dollar you spend on sales and marketing, you should get $1 in return in revenue.
How quickly though?
Within 12 months. Yeah, within 12 months.
Okay,
Do
you guys have less than a 12-month payback period currently?
Yeah, I think
that's nice because you go ahead.
It's a little below 11 months, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, because you guys, I mean, you get, do they pay, you said your ACV is 50 grand. Do they pay that all up front?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, what you're spending, call it 42 grand on a $50,000 kind of annual contract?
I mean, on average, yes. But I think like if you really look at the cost of acquiring a customer, like there's much more granularity and complexity around it, because like for some customers you don't pay anything. Like customers who get referred by another customer like are zero. But if you, for example, look at the cost of customer acquisition through AdWords, then suddenly like your number will be much higher.
Yep.
So we look at it from that perspective, because it's really a mixed story, but in the end, like the total number has to make sense, right?
And then what do you assume? I mean, you imagine, a $50,000 contract is expanding to call it 80,000 in year 2. This is a tricky question because it can get dangerous and we can go into la la land very quickly. But what do you assume the average number of years is the customer is going to stay with you?
I would say currently that's 5 years.
Yeah. Okay. 5 years.
And if you would like mathematically do the calculation, like it's much higher because we have still less churn, but I think like 5 years is a good realistic number for us to talk about LTV over CAC and
yeah. So I mean, if you and are you guys what do you assume the lifetime value is in dollars? Like $250,000, that would be 50 grand over 5 years.
Yeah, on average, yeah.
Something like that, yeah. How do you use those benchmarks, right? Because you could argue with me, well, Nathan, they're actually worth $1 million because it's 50 grand the first year, then we increase them. I mean, you could argue this 7,000 different ways. So how do you use these metrics as guide points for you, or do you not at all?
I mean, we do those exercises, we look at the data, but like very important for us is that we always put ourselves pretty aggressive targets to see like how our average deal size is growing and how the churn is evolving. So for example, like if we speak within 6 months, like our average deal size has to go up. I mean, it has to be bigger. Ultimately, an average deal size of Showpad should be around 100K if you're selling to enterprise. So like that's something we're very focused on, moving the needle on those things, because like if you want to get to the next level, if you want to keep scaling, if you want to reach 100 million in ARR, like your deal size is a hugely important factor of that.
Yep. What do you meant? Obviously, the playbook for expansion revenue in most B2B SaaS businesses is number of seats, but some people have gotten very creative with other things. Do you guys have any creative things that your sales team is doing or that you've built into the product that's driving expansion revenue that is not number of seat related?
I mean, a few things we've done is adding new add-ons to the product. For example, when we delivered our Salesforce integration, that's an additional $10 to user a month. We recently did an acquisition of a company and we integrated their product and we introduced a new product line.
It's like Adam?
It's that. So I mean, yeah.
So guys, just sorry, those of you listening that don't know what Adam is, it's like, dynamic mind maps, right? Which they've put under the 45 per user per month, which is $10 more than the 35.
Exactly. So like we're constantly looking for ways, and if you zoom in on what we call experiences at the product we've released through the acquisition. And if you look at what we're replacing for customers, then you'll quickly figure out that lots of enterprise customers spend a lot of money with agencies to build like custom navigation presentations, like custom experiences that they developed. The pitch that we have at Showpad is that look like you shouldn't go to an agency to have those navigation experiences. Like it's part of our product. Like we've set up a technology that allows you. So like there's a huge value proposition, and doing that we increase the price of Showpad.
And Louis, ignore conventional wisdom like AdWords and product marketing and all that. What has been a growth tactic you've used that was just weird, shocking, surprising? The more specific, the better.
Yeah, I mean, the non-digital events are still by far the best performing.
You mean like an event sponsorship?
No. So for example, one thing that we've started doing since a few years are breakfast meetings, round tables, where we invite 10 of our biggest prospects in the UK and London and put them around the table with myself, with PJ, with an analyst, and with a sales guy, and like just have interesting sessions. We've recently have done a tour in Europe where we've rented a party bus and where we stickered that whole party bus with Showpad advertisement, and then did a tour like to our customers in Europe, and then gave presentations, invited prospects. So, like I mean, in the world of digital, like you would be shocked how effective those offline events, face to face, in person are, and then like that's definitely one of the. And of course, this is more like bottom of funnel type of conversion. It's not top of funnel, but hugely effective.
I love that. The last few questions here. Gross margin, what are you guys at?
85, 86, okay. Something like that.
So pretty standard, right?
Yeah, pretty standard.
No weird cost structure for you there. And then another question. When you guys are celebrating the new year at the end of the year this year at the office party, what's the revenue number that if you guys hit, everyone is just celebrating, they're excited?
I would say like the stretch target is 28, but of course like if you could get close to 30 by the end of the year, that would make us ecstatic. Like if you could see a 3 in the first number of our revenue, that would be amazing. Yeah.
So you're thinking in terms of kind of ARR run rate being 30 million. Can you translate that goal though into like an actual like total revenue for the year?
Oh, that depends. I mean, that will be, what is it, like 22, something like that?
Yeah.
23. And because a lot of our business is closed in the end of the year. Like Q4 is a huge quarter for us. And that's why like the revenue recognition part, like we're not able to recognize that much revenue by the end of the year because we closed so much business in the last few months. So you can only take into account the remaining service days that you have to that customer. So, but it never has been a real metric for us. Yeah. I mean, we focus on recurring revenue.
You know, it makes good sense. And just so we have a comparison, so in 2016, what was that number? Like 17, 18 million?
16.
16, got it.
16.5, yeah.
Many of you listening right now don't have time to listen to every B2B SaaS CEO that I've interviewed. If you want to get access to the database I've created with year-over-year growth rates, customer accounts, margins, and many, many other data metrics and data points, you can go to getlatka.com. Here's the thing, though. That database, I keep it to myself. It's so freaking valuable. And to preserve the quality of the data and make sure that the people that have access to it have a true advantage, I'm only letting 10 companies on each month. So we're full this month, but you can go to getlatka.com to get on the waiting list for next month. And look, there's big people on the waiting list. I mean, the biggest VCs you've ever heard of. You've probably heard of them. They're big, private equity, billions and billions under management. So it's an impressive waiting list. Go get on now at getlatka.com. Many of you know I am buying companies that I really, really like, and there's no quicker way for me to get to the bottom of what is happening on that website than using this tool called nathanlatka.com/hotjar, HOTJAR. It basically will give me a recording, okay? When anybody lands on the website, it'll give me a recording of where the viewer is scrolling, and obviously does the basic stuff like heat maps too, but I learned so much about where the users are scrolling and clicking on my site using that tool. It helps me increase conversion rates, make more money, and grow those businesses faster. And we'll have to see what happens with those businesses, but I'm buying them very quick, and I'm using nathanlatka.com/hotjar for all of my website analytics. You can too. I work with them. It's totally free. You can go to nathanlatka.com/hotjar. No credit card required. Again, use it as much as you want. nathanlatka.com/hotjar. I'll see you there. That's great. Good stuff. Hey, let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, Louis, what's your favorite business book?
My favorite business book is The Hard Things About the Hard Things from Andreessen Horowitz.
That's a good one. Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
I would say the obvious, Elon Musk, but I'm thinking if there's somebody else that I should mention. No, let's say Elon Musk.
Yeah,
sure.
Good. Number 3, is there a favorite online tool you have, like Acuity Scheduling?
Honestly, like I'm spending most of my time in the G Suite of Google, Google Drive, Google Presentations, like Google Sheets. Like I do all my productivity stuff in there.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
5, 6, but that's because I have a newborn of 6 months old.
Oh wow! Congratulations. So married and 1 kid, or do you have more?
2. I have 2 children.
How old is the older one?
2 years and a month.
Holy mackerel! How old are you, Louis?
I'm 32.
My gosh. Okay, so sitting on a rocket ship, 2 young kids, getting 5.5 hours of sleep, 1 newborn, 32, married. Take us back 12 years. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
That I should start my first company even sooner.
There you guys have
That's
it.
what I would tell myself, yeah.
There you have it from Louis. He's sitting on a rocket ship with 2 young ones. Again, the company really Showpad is the current focus, spun out of kind of an agency idea earlier on, but focused on making it easier for marketing and sales teams to talk to each other. They're doing incredibly well. So launched back in 2012. Their team is now 220 people. They've raised $61 million, did about $16 million last year, aiming for $22 million this year total, but they're aiming for a run rate of maybe $28-30 million by the end of the year. They're helping over 1,000 enterprise customers. Again, and their marketing and sales teams talk to each other. Currently doing about 1.6 million in MR. Gross churn 6%, but they are at net negative revenue churn, about negative 30%. Payback period is about 11 months. LTV in terms of dollars, somewhere around 250 grand. Again, really sitting on a rocket ship here. Louis, thank you for taking us to the top.
If you enjoyed Louis today, go back and listen to Shlomi yesterday. With his tool, mobile browsing on spotty Wi-Fi doesn't suck anymore.